Hey guys, my name is Jordan. In this video we're going to be talking about how I refreshed a mature planted tank. This tank behind me was overgrown and it needed a bit of a refresh. If not, I would have just left it and not trimmed it, and I might have to rescaped it in the next few weeks because it was just growing so fast. So what I did was I trimmed the carpet, trimmed all the plants, moved some things about, added some new plants around here and there, added some rocks, made the hardscape a bit more visible because it was overgrown obviously. So we're going to be talking about what I did in this video, and I'll show you how I did it as well. The first thing I did in this tank was to trim the HC on the rocks and on the wood. I actually just pulled this out and then I grabbed some bits and I just pushed them back into places that I thought looked good. This was because if you keep trimming it, there's only so much you can trim it, and it just keeps getting bigger and more dense. So what I did is I thought, just remove it, I can clean underneath it, it's probably a good time to do that. So yeah, I just pulled all the HC out and then ripped the big chunks apart and then put it into places that I thought looked good, and also in new places, so it's a wee bit different to what it looked like before. I split the maintenance up into a couple different days because it was just too much to do in one day. So you'll see clips from different days. The HC was actually trimmed after I pulled it out and I planted it. It was trimmed actually to be a bit neater on another day, so I did that as well. A few weeks prior to doing all this, I also trimmed the Labelia cardinalis dwarf up the top. It was just growing above the light. It was growing huge. So I don't have any video clips for this, but I did trim it. To hide the roots though, I did trim the roots of the Labelia because it was actually growing down onto the black lava rock and kind of spoiling the scape a bit. So what I did is I trimmed them, but also I added some of the HC I had left over underneath to kind of hide the roots and just to hide the ugly parts basically. I think it looks quite nice. At the back of the tank I had a lot of stems, specifically Labelia super red mini. At the back right, and it was definitely overgrown. It was growing out the tank, which looks kind of cool, and you could just leave it like this and let it grow out the tank, which is it's quite a cool look. But I wanted to keep this a bit clean, keep it a clean, sharp looking tank. So what I did is I trimmed that obviously and replanted the tops as well. That keeps it looking fresh after you trim it. Down the bottom here in the mid-ground I have some S. repens, the green plant. Once again I trimmed that bush because it was getting really tall, really compact. It still is compact, but we have trimmed it down significantly, and also replanted the tops, because if you replant the tops it kind of looks like you haven't trimmed, or it just looks really well maintained, rather than if you didn't plant the tops and it actually does look like it's just been trimmed. I also moved around some of the Anubias and the Bucephalandra into places that I thought looked good. I removed them from sections that I thought that they were kind of obstructing the wood or the hardscape, and I wanted to kind of show off a wee bit more of the hardscape in this tank. In the middle section we have some Pinnatifida. This is like a red plant. I also trimmed that and I replanted the bits that I trimmed. There's not a lot of it, but it is in the central section, which I also planted another red plant, which is AR Mini. I just planted a few stems of this just to give a bit more variation and a bit more of like a red accent. And the biggest part of this job was definitely trimming the UG carpet. It was so dense and it was growing so tall. I haven't trimmed it in about a month, and I used to trim it every week to 2 weeks. Once UG gets established, it just grows so fast, and I couldn't keep on top of it. So yeah, it definitely needed trimmed. I think I trimmed maybe like 2 to 3 centimeters off of some parts, so it's a big trimming. And yeah, so it just made a big mess, and once you put your hand in and you're trying to trim, you get like trimmings all up your arm. I'm constantly scooping it out, so this took the longest time, but I did it. It is looking a bit white or pale, but that was to be expected. Obviously I've just done a massive trim on it. It's not dead, it just is a bit pale, so it'll recover in time. And a nice little tip as well, once you trimmed a carpet this much, obviously all the organic waste or detritus will be built up underneath the healthy layers of the carpet. So once you remove those top layers, it might be worth the time kind of like siphoning out the waste organics while you're doing the water change. So that's what I did here. If you don't have a tool like I used, you could always just wave your hand over, use a paintbrush, like a soft paintbrush over the top of it, or even a turkey baster. One of the last things I decided to do was to add some detail rocks. So once again, I used the black lava rock from Strideways Worldwide, and I added some little detail rocks just around the edges. I also added one big rock at the back right, just to extend that kind of like central island triangular shape almost. So I did that, and I think I kind of like the look of it. While doing maintenance like this, it's important, probably just to remove the pipes, remove your diffuser, bleach the diffuser, or use whatever. I use Superge, ADA Superge, to kind of just remove all the limescale and the algae on the actual diffuser, CO2 diffuser itself. But yeah, clean your pipes. It's a good time to do that. Clean your filter if it needs to be done. On the filter side, I've got some of the Aqua Rio pipes. Previously I was using them before, obviously, but I've added one of the attachments. So I've added a skimmer pipe, and the skimmer just like skims off the organic protein film basically on top of the water. But the good thing about it, this being a shrimp tank, is that the shrimp don't get sucked into the skimmer. So it's totally safe for this tank. I've got a couple hundred shrimp in here, so really important for me not to have a skimmer that's sucking up all my shrimp into my filter or into the skimmer body itself. So after doing the majority of the maintenance, I obviously did a water change. Today I'm doing a bit more of a bigger water change than I would do normally. I normally would just do like a 1/3 water change weekly, but since we've kicked up loads of organic waste and we've done this big maintenance, I'm going to do a bit more than that. So that is what I'm doing right now, and I just remineralized my RO water that I put back into the tank with salty shrimp GHKH+. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you think you could have done something differently, if you would have added some more rocks, some more wood, I didn't actually have any more wood, so that's why I didn't add it, but if you think you would have done something differently to what I did, or if you have any tips on what I could do to improve it further, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear it. And once again, like, comment, subscribe like always, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye bye.